chat. There's not very many people here today, so feel free to enter this first row. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I never was like, really? I don't know. It's like a second seat, man.
Big seat.
This is too much pressure. Yeah, right? It's stressful. Do you want to be in the front row too? The 5 remembrances. I am of the nature to grow old. There is
no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. This precious human life, rarely encountered, is easily lost. Now that I have life and opportunity, may I practice the Dharma wholeheartedly.
Mahayana refuge. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I
liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way.
Invocation of the lineage. I give thanks for the practice of my teachers. For the lineage
of teachers before them, I give thanks and offerings for their devoted practice of generosity,
moral discipline, patience, joyful effort, concentration, wisdom, skillful means, unshakable vow, spiritual powers, and awakened awareness for my benefit. May their years of life be lengthened, may their vows be completely realized, and may I cultivate these perfections with their guidance. 7 practices of the Bodhisattva. I bow down in body, speech, and mind. I offer the best I have to give, both real and imagined, to fill the space between us. I regret and purify all transgressions. I rejoice in all virtues. I request you to remain until total enlightenment. I request wise and compassionate guidance. I dedicate my merit for the sake of all beings. Generating love and compassion. May all sentient beings be free from clinging and hatred. Being close to some and distant from others, how wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from clinging and hatred. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them happiness and the causes of happiness. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from suffering and the causes of suffering. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings have the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from clinging, hatred, jealousy, miserliness, doubt, pride, wrong view, ignorance, and dualistic thoughts. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them to this state. Bless me to accomplish this. Please stand for the Heart Sutra. Great Prajna Paramita Heart Sutra. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva practicing deep Prajna Paramita clearly saw that all 5 skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form, form is exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form, sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness are also like
essentially empty, not formed, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without loss, without gain. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no color, sound, smell, taste, touch, object of thought, no seeing, and so on, to no thinking, no ignorance, and also no ending of ignorance, and so on, to no old age and death, and also no ending of old age and death, no suffering, cause of suffering, cessation, path, no wisdom, and no attainment, since there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva lives by Prajnaparamita, with no hindrance in the mind, no hindrance, and therefore no fear, far beyond delusive thinking. Right here is nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future live by Prajnaparamita, attaining Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Therefore, know that Prajnaparamita is the great sacred mantra, the great vivid mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, the supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not mere formality. Therefore, set forth the Prajnaparamita mantra, set forth this mantra, and proclaim Gate, Gate, Para, Gate, Parsam, Gate, Bodhisattva, Gate, Gate, Para, Gate, Parsam, Gate, Bodhisattva, Gate, Gate, Para, Gate, Parsam, Gate, Bodhisattva.
Infinite realms of light and dark, convey the Buddha mind, all that is, and we ourselves come forth in perfect harmony. We offer this sincere and devoted practice for the many beings of the six worlds, and dedicate it in great thanks to the strength and sound practice of the great Heartland Sangha and its teachers. May our virtuous actions be clear from all interferences, and may our vows be fully realized. We especially dedicate these merits to all those who suffer as a result of injustices, calamity, cruelty, and war. We dedicate the merit today in grateful thanks to the teaching and practice of the great ancestor, Harada. May their mind flower bloom in endless spring for the attainment of Buddhahood for all beings through space and time. And to Jukai, Roger, Wanda, Kaijin, Stephen, Brianna, Dwayne Jr., Rishin, Amy, Nancy, Sister Suzette, Tenson, John, Charles, Reverend Eugen, and Laverne. May they find peace and healing. To Ernest, Phil, Jeremy, and Robert at the time of their deaths, and to those we hold in the silence of our heart, as well as those we now voice aloud. May we live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma, and may we realize the Buddha way together. Buddha Dharma School. Please meet in the Buddha Hall. Everyone else prepare for sunset. We will now recite the Song of Covenant found on page 8. We, the Daishin Kokuju Sangha, with respect for the worth and dignity of each person, with wonder at the wisdom and compassion we seek to cultivate by practice, and with deep gratitude for the teachers of this lineage and our connection to one another, covenant to support each other by upholding the precepts of doing no harm, practicing good, and actualizing good for others. Please be seated and face the teacher. We'll be reciting the Gata and the Sutra. So, all on page 8. Gatha on opening the sutra. Now we see it, hear it, receive and maintain it. May we completely realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
Good afternoon. This is the first time I've been up here managing so much fabric. It's, it's kind of a lot, but it's just so good to see everybody and to be together in this space and to enjoy the sunshine streaming in the windows, knowing how bitter cold it is outside, and knowing how many of our Sangha right now are ill, different respiratory infections and injuries, and just holding them all in our hearts and our intentions, and also just really appreciating the causes and conditions that bring us all here today in this place to practice together. So much gratitude for that. And it has been a lovely morning here this morning. We had a Lamrim discussion group, which was very alive and nourishing. And there were folks visiting and getting to see our space for the first time, and very welcome to all of you. And there was a Tara Sadhana this morning also, and a Tara Sadhana with the women's group last night, which was very, very, very good for my practice personally, and very good to connect in that way. Because it's just an intense time of year, for one thing. You know, it's so cold, and the days are so short, and the nights, it gets dark so early. We have the solstice next weekend, and, you know, for me, there's always this, like, natural desire to really draw in and sort of reflect and practice kind of with that aloneness and with that solitude. And yet, people keep wanting you to do other things, like come to this party and this family gathering, and gosh, there's just so many feelings that come up as we try to navigate all this, right? I mean, the joy, maybe, the angst and the sorrow, and sometimes some hollowness. Just whatever's coming up, there's so much alive there, right? How do we navigate? What do we do? Doan and I were just talking about the change of the Chinese New Year, the year of the snake. We're finishing and going into the year of the horse. And it's sort of the typical things we think about at the end of the year and the start of the new one, you know, letting go of the old and welcoming in the new. But when you think about the vision of the snake and shedding that old skin and actually letting that go, and a vision of the horse moving forward with bravery and with fortitude, with a bit of a sense of adventure. It's kind of nice to have those two visions to hold this year. I think many of us are really in that state of letting go, of having to let go, and feeling a real need to sort of press forward. And it's very challenging. At least for me, it's very challenging. I'm getting ready to make monastic vows to this place and space. And at the same time, it feels like so many parts of my life are kind of dissolving. My mother is dying. She's in hospice. It's a great letting go. And I think last time I talked, I think I said that we had, in my family, just found out that my illness has a genetic cause. So our whole family has been doing genetic testing. And I am like, making this, I brought it because it's become a bit of a sigil to me. One of these, anybody make one of these in school? With your family here, and like, here's me, and it goes up 5 generations. And I just keep circling people in red who've had this illness and putting pluses on people who are positive. And one of them is our daughter. And that is just, it's such a powerful experience for me. I'm finding that the more I'm sitting and in practice with this and holding this deep in my heart, there's such a not knowing there. There's such a deep not knowing, and finding, the trust in that not knowing. And I find myself sitting with these family members who I've never met. I mean, Hubert is my great-grandfather, and he likely died of this illness in his 50s. And just, feeling that connection through space and time. And I mean, this is just an example. I'm sure we all have our own examples of this in our lives, where you can really just sit and feel that boundlessness of time and the deep connection we have to each other through our ancestors and our future generations. And even though for me right now that feels like it's in the context of this really uncomfortable, difficult thing of this illness that I really don't want anyone else to have because it was very difficult, there's still this fundamental okayness and this holding of this beauty, actually. And also, I've been crying a lot. And I find myself really relying on my practice, and not just like the discipline of the practice and the daily schedule and the zazen, but this aspect of asking for help, of trusting into something far bigger than what's written on the paper and what the test results say, and how it feels to sit with my mom in front of her Christmas tree with her breaking bones. Those are all exactly it. And then there's also this, oh, I need help, right? And my go-to for that is Tara. I encountered Tara practice right away when I came to the temple with wonderful instruction from Dolan Roshi and guidance, and that has become something that I can really feel I can really rely on and lean into through everything, actually. And then also there's just the trust in the crying, right? Like, ask the tears for help, and the cushion, and the tree, and your teachers, and your friends, and the noble friends of the Sangha. Both of these things are so important, the discipline of practice and the asking for help, which can look in a lot of different ways. So I don't think this asking for help is a very small matter for most people. I think we've all grown up in a culture where we don't ask for help. That's weakness, that it shows, that you're dependent, that you owe somebody something. It gets very complicated very quickly for a lot of us to ask for help. And so, in Zen, we talk about Tariki and Jiriki. Tariki is this other power, and Jiriki is our self-power. And we have to cultivate both. We need both. We always say, you can't do this alone and no one can do it for you. You hear that a lot around here. And that speaks to that we need other power and we need our self-power. And there are many ways in this mandala practice that we have here that you can access and work on and receive teachings on both of those aspects. And it's important not to lean too heavily on one or the other because they're codependent. The Jiriki, the self-power, it takes that discipline. It takes having a commitment to your practice, to staying with your practice even when it's difficult. That's the commitment piece. And then the Tariki, it takes trust, right? It takes trusting the process, trusting the other power, trusting the Sangha, trusting yourself, trusting your Jiriki in the context of that Tariki. So I really started thinking about this a few weeks ago during sesshin, when I encountered some words from one of our ancestors, Yamada Kon. And he is speaking about practice during sesshin, actually, but it applies all the time. So he says, when it seems you have done all you can and you still have not reached the goal, it is important to pray. And then Yamada goes on to say, he's referring to a text from Dogen Zenji. He says, this is nothing less than Dogen's fervent prayer. O Buddhas and Patriarch, he says, please remove my karma and allow me to attain enlightenment. And Yamada tells us that we can offer these prayers to the Buddha, Manjushri, Samantabhadra, Kuan Yin. We would obviously add Tara. And you can also just pray, he says, in the way that if you're a Christian, you were raised to pray. It doesn't have to look any one way. But this prayers to the Buddha and Manjushri and Samanta, this appealing to the bodhisattvas, we do this actually in our practice here at the temple. This is part of it. And here's the difference, though, between when we say prayer and we think about maybe how many of us grew up with a prayer to an external being for salvation, for, eternal heaven, whatever, this external thing. When we're in Zen, and this is what Yamada points out that is so important when we're talking about prayer in the context of Zen, if you are still caught up in your ego consciousness, you cannot pray with true fervor. To pray with any effect, you must empty yourself. And you can be sure, then, that if you pray with true fervor, your prayers will be answered. But the key is we have to empty ourselves. We have to embrace that oneness, to let go of the ego consciousness. And then prayer becomes something entirely different, doesn't it? And so the prayers that the Zen masters refer to, and when we do the Tara Sadhana, that's the prayer to noble Tara. These prayers are about our deep faith in the practice, about our deep faith in the lineage. It's about our spiritual aspirations, removing the obstacles to awakening, and to functioning as a bodhisattva in the world. This tariki, this reaching out for help, this prayer, it harmonizes the one who's doing the praying with the reality, with the ultimate reality that is our life. And so, different things come up when we hear the word prayer, and if you don't like it, it's fine. You don't ever have to use the word prayer. You can just think of it as tariki. But regardless of what you call it, it's really important not to ignore it, because we can't do this alone, right? Whatever that means to you, you can't do this practice alone, and still no one can do it for you. There's this song we used to listen to in the car when our kids were little. I went back and looked at the lyrics, and I wasn't sure it was really the best song for kids. Well, it's a little. But there's a few lines in there. The song, I'm not going to sing because, believe me, I've been told not to do that. So I will say the lyrics, but it goes, "The road I've been on since I was 2, I just found out that it don't go through. Payday passed, my ship came and went, the apocalypse is over, and I still owe rent." This is the part that I remember my kids being little, and they say love is learned when the heart hits stone, and prayer begins when you can't go on. And that's true. No matter what your spiritual beliefs are and your spiritual practice, God, there's a moment where you can't go on. And what does that turn into? What does that moment turn into? But really, that was 20 years ago. And when I think about that now, I think about how prayer actually begins when we stop knowing. When we stop knowing what the solution is to this or how this needs to go. When I stop knowing what my mom needs to do in this moment, what my kid needs to do about her genetic test results, what I need to do about my family who doesn't, maybe some of them want to get tested. When we let go of that and we just actually relax into the not knowing, that's where prayer actually begins. And there's such intimacy in that not separating from the situation by not declaring you know about it, by actually just not knowing and being so okay with that. So last month in the Lam class, we were discussing this morning in the discussion group a little about this. And Doan Roshi gave us some wonderful teachings about the Tariki and the Jiriki, right? About taking our practice to heart and clarifying that when we if we talk about prayer, when we do that here, what we're really doing is we're talking about the practice of strengthening our spiritual muscles, of putting our prayer in service for this, to have the capacity to realize our Buddhahood for the sake of all beings. And she was really clear with us that that's not enough, though. Like, we have to have the discipline to do the work. And that means doing it even when we don't really want to, right? Especially when we don't really want to. I didn't know this, but I just learned this, that the root of the word dharma means support, a structure. I mean, it also, we say, it means the teachings. But the root of the word, the Sanskrit word, means to support, to hold, and to bear. And I'm reading a book called Benedict's Dharma, which is very interesting. It's various Buddhist teachers and practitioners looking at the rule of Saint Benedict, which is the rule of the Catholic monks, but it's looking at it from a Zen perspective. And he talks about the trellis of practice and how we have to have some structure to put all this into. That's the discipline. We have to have a trellis for our practice to grow on. And there's so many ways this can look, right? I mean, I think in this temple, our teachers are just nonstop making trellises for us. And you just have to lean into that trellis and follow the instructions, and the practice will grow itself. You can lean into that and trust that. And then you can make your own trellises too. At home, you have a home altar, and we set our zazen at home and say the daily liturgy. The temple is one big trellis to support your practice. And it doesn't have to look a certain way, and it won't look the same way all the time for everyone, right? I mean, right now for me, it looks like I'm following the temple schedule every day, and there were other times where that trellis was being sick in bed and doing, Tara practice at home, and holding the discipline, though, in whatever environment is that underlying thing, right? So we have to be able to lean into that trellis and trust it. And that's really all very good for practice. And then it comes time where this, we say the 5 remembrances, and then they actually really show up, and you actually have to deeply acknowledge you are of the nature to get sick, be ill, die, injuries, change, standing on the ground of your deeds. And there comes a time where we have to ask for help. And we actually have to voice that. And for many people, this is not easy to talk about. Does anybody have trouble asking for help? Anyone? Yes? All the men. But for real, we have trouble, right? It's very difficult, and it's not really about gender. Does anybody have trouble giving help when somebody asks? No, we don't, do we? We're like, of course, if we can. I mean, there's boundaries, and there's times you can't, but in general, the impulse is easy. Yes, I will help. And the impulse to say, I need help. I mean, this is a really simple, small thing in a way, and it was huge. Last night, somebody asked me if I needed help, and I was like, nope, I'm fine, I got it. And then they were walking out the door, and I was like, I actually really do need help. And I went out, and I was like, I do need help. I need to do this thing for my mom, and I don't know how, and I need some help. And it was beautiful, right? But that was a simple, small, easy thing, in theory, easy thing to do. And still there's this hesitation, there's this impulse of, I don't need any help. I'm good, I got it. And I think that's really worth examining, because what is that? What is that willingness to help, that generosity that arises easily for others, and that resistance to generously being vulnerable about your own needs and need for help. So the paramita of generosity, we've had wonderful teachings in the Lamrim about this recently, and also Rinzin Roshi gave a wonderful discourse on the paramitas last week on wisdom is generosity, wisdom is patience, wisdom is joyful effort, and how these are all related, and this is exactly it. But when you think about the paramita of generosity, it's so easy to think of helping others, and it's very easy to forget about the deep generosity that is being vulnerable with an open heart, particularly with each other in the Sangha and with our noble friends, but also just in regular daily life, at work, with children, with our friends outside of the temple. This vulnerability is generosity. And to be willing to be vulnerable, to ask for help, and to be open about that, to not apologize for it, and to not shy away from it. This is deep practice. In Oryoki at Sesshin, we talk about the emptiness of the three wheels, the giver, the receiver, and the gift. And that is in this concept of asking for help, the emptiness of asking, the emptiness of helping, and the emptiness of the actual gift. All of these things are the gift. And sometimes we need help, outside of what somebody can do. And so we lean into what's actually real. We need medicine, we need therapy, we need basic needs. These are the path in that moment, whatever that is. And the thing is, to ask for help and to practice the paramita of generosity, we have to be able to bow down. We have to actually, that's the first line of the 7 practices of the Bodhisattvas, the practice of the Bodhisattva. I bow down in body, speech, and mind. And we practice that. We actually physically embody that. We bow down in our practice. And we have to learn how to bring that into our life so that we are literally bowing down to what this is that we don't know. And when we sincerely ask for help from Tara, from our friends, from ourselves, we are doing that bowing down. We are practicing generosity that way. We had, I'm going to talk just a few minutes about Tara practice, and I'll probably end with that, because that's been such a critical component of my practice, and especially in these last few weeks of this crying of mine. Being able to lean on this Tariki, especially in the discipline of practice. We have if you've never been to a Tara sadhana, we use this very beautiful handout for it. And if you don't know anything about Tara, Tara is a fully attained female Buddha. She's represented above the Buddha behind me. And we practice this with a sadhana, and it's like a daily liturgy. So we say the words, right? And that gives it the discipline and the structure, and it helps develop the jiriki of the practice. But when you establish this practice, it's like everything else, it becomes so accessible to you. So being able to ask for help from Tara, I've seen both of our teachers do this directly, to simply, I don't know, I can't do anything about this, and lay it down and give it to Tara. Offer some incense, bow down, and hand this over. We don't know. We can't fix it. This is not a cognitive problem, whatever it is. You can actually give this to Tara, and she will happily take it. In the sadhana, at almost the very beginning, there are these lines. She sits on the lotus and moon cushion with a luminous aura surrounding her. Youthful and radiant, her right hand gestures an invitation to liberation, giving courage and assurance to those dominated by fears, giving rest to those who are heavy burdened. Her left hand indicates the 3 jewels, reminding us not to be satisfied with samsaric delights. This is an invitation. This is an invitation to let go, to trust the not knowing, and to bow down with humility and nobility. And if you're interested in developing your Tara practice, there will be Sunday Taras, practice sadhanas coming up all year. The calendar is out. The year of the horse is coming. We will be moving forward with courage and together, practicing it together. And so we'll dedicate the merit of this Dharma talk to all of those who are in need of help and who have many obstacles to making that ask. And also today, especially to all sentient beings who are cold and hungry and tired and ill and injured. May our merit go to all beings without exception for the sake of full and complete awakening. May it be so.